It's no secret that I hate the new £70 price point for first-party PlayStation games. To put that number into perspective for any American viewers, £70 is equivalent to almost $100 American. And it's the same story in Australia and God knows where else, so that's not exactly lunch money. But I'm happy to pay it for games I know that I'll like, Ratchet & Clank, Sackboy, and upcoming games like Horizon and Gran Turismo, to name a few. The issue comes when games I'm not so sure about hit that same astronomical number. New IPs like Returnal, or games in niche genres like Demon's Souls. Games that score great with critics but might not be for me personally. Money doesn't grow on trees, but for the old £50 price point I was happy to take some risks to find some games I might enjoy. I mean, some of my favourite games in 2019 came after I took a gamble on them. Resident Evil 2, Sekiro and Fire Emblem are 3 games I never would have picked up for £70, but for £50 I was glad I took the leap, and they all landed in my top 5 that year. I don't think I'm alone in this sentiment either, which is sad to think about because it means we could be looking at a world where creativity is squashed under the might of the formulaic Goliath, where every PlayStation Studios game is a linear story-driven blockbuster, and games with the same scale but also the will to experiment are left by the wayside. That's where Microsoft comes in. For the last several years, Xbox Game Pass has been slowly growing into a looming giant, casting a shadow over Sony's archaic approach to the video game business. We've even been singing its praises for the past year, calling it the best deal in gaming and things like that. It's not perfect, mind you, the service has suffered from a severe lack of solid first-party titles, relying solely on third-party and indies to bolster its numbers to a Netflix-worthy size. Or that was the case, until now. This looks oh my god, this looks incredible.
It does. Wow.
What the fuck?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Wow.
On
On to Horizon 5.
This is an insane conference.
And this conference does not stop. It is something for literally every gamer.
This year at E3, possibly for the first time ever, the Xbox Showcase blew the PlayStation Showcase out of the water. That might partly be because Sony wasn't even there this year, but anyways, it was wall-to-wall announcements from Forza Horizon 5 to The Outer Worlds 2, from Starfield to Halo Infinite, from A Plague Tale Requiem to Contraband, Redfall, Stalker 2, Back 4 Blood, Party Animals, 12 Minutes, The Ascent, Atomic Heart, Somerville, Shredder, Slime Rancher 2, and I could go on. I'm getting giddy just writing all this down. And wanna know the best part? They're all coming to Game Pass on day 1. That's right, where Sony has raised the standard price point for games to a staggering £70, Microsoft is letting you play the majority of the incredible games showcased during their event for a criminally low £8 a month. That's less than a Netflix subscription. And there's a reason I'm starting to sound like an infomercial at this point in the script. I understand the value of money, and it seems like Microsoft does too. The majority of people don't have the money to put towards multiple £70 titles a month, but if you can afford a Netflix subscription, why not a Game Pass one? It's clear that games are getting bigger and bigger all the time, and with that growth, whether you think it's necessary or not, comes a substantially larger development cost. It's no secret that Microsoft is losing money on Game Pass right now, but they're not idiots, and obviously they see an endpoint. The question is, can they reach it? Is Game Pass sustainable? I don't know. What I do know is that if Sony isn't careful, as good as their games are right now, Microsoft is going to catch up with them. And when Xbox games are as good as PlayStation ones, Sony's going to be treading water trying to keep up with the value of Game Pass. It's hard to overstate how badly Sony's been shooting itself in the foot. Its only answer to the subscription service model is PlayStation Now, and let's be honest, it has a few issues. First and foremost, it has a deep-rooted issue with backwards compatibility, one that goes back to the start of the PS3 era. The decision to put the third PlayStation home console on a different architecture to what would eventually become the standard is one that's been coming back to bite them for a while now. Streaming technology isn't quite there yet depending who you ask, and PlayStation Now relies on it heavily for access to PS3 games, since those titles aren't directly accessible on PS4 and PS5 hardware. Which also leads into the service's next issue, perception. PlayStation Now needs a name change, and it needs one, well, now. If you ask the average player for their thoughts on the service, they'll more than likely recount some awful past experience with the service's streaming tech. The fact is that most consumers are oblivious to the fact that through PlayStation Now, PS4 games are now directly downloadable. And then there's the big Phil Spencer shaped elephant in the room. PS Now doesn't get first party PlayStation games at launch. If I want to play Forza Horizon 5 or Halo Infinite when they come out, all I need to do is boot up my Xbox or PC and hit a big fat download button. If I want to play Horizon Forbidden West at launch, even if I'm subscribed to PlayStation Now, I have to pay a big fat £70 entry fee and then hit download. And it makes sense. Why would you want to encourage players to pick up your game for a tenner a month when you can get them to sign over a huge wad of cash there and then? But it's not sustainable. Like I said before, it's all very well for games like Rift Apart and Horizon where you know what you're getting. But new, risky and unique games are about to be sent out to die. I'm possibly one of the biggest proponents of being able to own the video games we consume. But this price gap between PlayStation and Xbox, well, is more like a gaping crevice. Money is a valuable resource, and I suppose it's okay for people who only pick up the new Call of Duty or FIFA every year to pay an extra 20 quid on top of what they already do. But for people like you and me, it's almost impossible to pass up the ridiculous value of Xbox Game Pass. An entire catalogue of first party, third party and indie titles at your fingertips, all for £8 a month? I'll let you do the maths.